My name is Megan, and I am one of the popular materials librarians at the Clinton-Macomb Public Library. We do a lot of programming there, and one of the things that I sometimes do is craft programs. And in the last year, I had done a lot of Pom Pom programs, and I thought today from home, I would show you some things that you can make with yarn Pom Poms. And I will warn you that they are addicting. Once you start making Pom Poms, you won't want to stop. At least I didn't. So the first thing is how to make a pom-pom and what will you need. To make pom-poms, you will need yarn. If you have some yarn lying around at home, you'll need yarn. You'll need a pair of scissors, preferably sharp scissors. And you will need something to make your pom-pom with. There are some great videos on the internet on how to make a pom-pom maker, how to use pom-pom makers, like name brand Clover or Boy pom-pom makers. And there's actually a great video on Creative Bug if you want to try out our new crafting database. Creative Bug has a video on how to make pom-poms with pom-pom makers, how to make your own, and how to use a fork for tiny ones. But if I'm not using a pom-pom maker, what I actually like to use is a toilet paper roll. So if you have a toilet paper roll lying around, that'll work too. So those are what we need to get started with making pom-poms. I'm going to show you 3 different projects, and each uses multiple pom-poms. So you'll want to sort of collect what you need to make pom-poms before you get started with this. So I'm going to get started on making the pom-pom. So I've got my toilet paper roll, and I'm going to smash it flat so that it's basically just a rectangle of cardboard. You can use a cereal box or anything that is going to not squish when you wrap it, because we're going to wrap this with yarn. You see, I've got 2 skeins of yarn here because I'm going to make a multicolored pom-pom. If you want a single colored pom-pom, you use 1 skein of yarn. If you want multiple colors, you can use multiple colors. And I want multiple colors. So I'm going to use both my skeins of yarn at once. And I have my purple and I have my variegated. And I'm going to take them and I'm just going to wrap it around. I'm going to wrap it around until it's pretty thick. I'm gonna keep going. See, it's pretty thick on both sides, but I'm gonna do a few more. The more yarn you put into it, the more fluffy it will be. But you do need to be able to tie it. So you don't wanna make it so thick that you can't get a good snug tie around the middle of it. So I went around, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 times with two strands of yarn, maybe 30. And you see it looks pretty thick on both sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that good. And I'm just gonna snip the ends. The next thing I need to do is to use a little bit of yarn to tie off. So I'm gonna get my purple yarn here and I'm gonna make a pretty long tie because depending on what I want to use this pom-pom for, I might need the ends of it to tie the pom-pom to something. So I'm still on the toilet paper roll. I'm still holding the end there, and I'm going to pull this whole thing very carefully off of the cardboard. I've got my yarn at the ready because when I pull this off, I'm going to hold it in my hand, squishing it. I'm going to take this yarn and wrap it right around the middle. So like giving this bundle of yarn a belt right around the middle. Let's see. And then I'm going to tie it tight. I'm putting it down on the table. And there, tying it tight, tight, tight. And I'm going to give it a knot. And then if I can, I'm going to go right around again, just to be sure. So see, I'm opening right there. I'm going to tie it again on the other side. So tight, pull. Do be careful because sometimes you can break the yarn that you're tying it off with, and you don't want to do that. So snugly, but I guess don't yank it so hard that you break the yarn because that's a bummer. Okay, so now my little yarn bundle has a little belt, and I am going to set about cutting the loops that have formed on each side of the belt. So there's a little belt. I'm going to snip these loops. And I'm just going to go right in and take my scissors, cut the loops. All right, I think I got them all on that side. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut the loops on this side. And it doesn't look like much yet. I'm going to check to see that I got all the loops. I don't see any. Oh, I found one. I'm going to snip these couple ones. And then as I fluff it, you can see it starts to look like a pom-pom. One thing about using this method of a rectangle of cardboard is that you do need to trim up your pom-pom to make it into more of a ball shape. So I'm going to do that next. If you have a pom-pom maker, that is one of the benefits of having a pom-pom maker. They come out very round, whereas using the rectangle, you do have to do a fair amount of trimming. So I'm going to keep just kind of rotating. Oh, no, that's not a loop. I thought I found a loop, but I didn't. As I'm doing this trimming, I'm holding on to those long ties, that belt that went around the middle of the pom-pom. That way, I can hold on to it and kind of rotate it. Just keep spinning. And if you want, you can give it another little fluff. Kind of see how it looks, which ones are sticking up weird. Around the bottom. And that's the gist of it. And if you keep going, you will make your pom-poms smaller. If you want a larger or a smaller pom-pom, you just use different sizes of cardboard if that's what you've got. They sell pom-pom makers in different sizes, but using a different size of cardboard will give you a different pom-pom. And I think this pom-pom looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and call it good. Project number 3 will require multiple pom-poms. I've got 5. And this is another headband inspired by a post at Brit and Company, or lots of, I don't know, crocheters that I follow. So it's sort of a Pom Pom Crown. And this one used 5 in different sizes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I will show you how to make this type of headband or crown as well. So I have 5 different pom-poms that I had already made up. And for these, the process is going to be a lot the same as doing the bear ears. So on these pom-poms, I tried to leave the ends, when I tied them off, long enough that I would be able to tie it onto the pom-pom. So I've got 5 pom-poms. And before you get started tying on, I would recommend that you sort of lay them out in the pattern that you think you want them in. So I like that, but maybe I'll do the purple on the inside. then when I see that, I think I actually like the other way better. So, okay, this is the order that I'm going to tie them on. Got my order set. And I'm going to use a stretchy headband for this Pom Pom Crown and see how that goes. So I'm going to start with my center pom pom, which for this is my largest. I had a large size pom pom, and then all the rest I made sort of medium size. So all these four are the same size. These purple ones might be trimmed up a little more. They look a little smaller, but they were made on the same size maker. So again, the process is very much the same. I'm going to take these ends. With a stretchy headband, it doesn't matter quite so much where you put it, because you can adjust it on your head a little easier. But I know I want this silver part to be in the back when I wear it. So I'm going to go for about halfway from the silver part, and I'm going to find the middle, got the headband in the middle, and just like before, I'm going to tie a knot. Go ahead and squinch the stretchy headband. I'm going to tie a double knot. But before I weave any ends in on this project, I'm going to tie on the rest, because if I want to change anything, it is possible to unpick your knots. And that way I have at least the option of changing things before I put those ends in and hide them and can't find them again. So I'm going to try my next one. And again, it's just sort of trial and error. You don't want it, like right next to it. Otherwise, your pom-poms will get kind of crushed. So thread the headband right through those ends and kind of flip it over and see, okay, I don't want it too far. I want it fairly close, but not squished. So that looks good. And oops, somehow I got it twisted. Go ahead and tie another knot. So there, got two. Oh, see, and now that I see it, well, I feel like that might be a little far. So I'm going to see if I can just slide it. Ooh, I can. Slid that a little closer. I'm going to go to my next blue one. So I'm working from the outside, or from the center out. Tie it on. You would not be able to slide it on this style of headband because it has those little teeth inside. And on a stretchy one, you can slide them a little bit. And I'm pretty sure I got this pack of stretchy headbands from the dollar store back a few months ago when I needed one to repair something I already owned. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to move on to the purple, or the outside of my headband crown. Tie that one on. It is pretty floppy though, very floppy. This is how it looks so far. And my last pom-pom on the outside. Tie that in a double knot. One thing to watch out for is that you are not getting the other ends or the other bits of pom-pom into these knots, because you want a little bit of flexibility before you tie it off. And if you're getting other pieces of pom-pom mixed in, you may not be able to move them the way that you might want to. Okay, so I've got all 5 pom-poms tied on. And before I do anything else, I'm gonna check that it actually looks the way that I want it to, that they're close enough, that the color order looks right. So I'm going to try it on. Okay, and you can see that once I've got it on, these are a little too far apart. So I'm going to scoot that, a little closer. It's kind of over the top, and I love it. Okay, so now I've got them scooted close enough. The spacing looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off, and I'm going to finish it out. And the way that I would finish it out is just almost the same as we did for the bear ears, but instead of just going through the one pom-pom, I'm also going to take these ends and go through the adjacent pom-pom. That will sort of secure them to each other, as well as hide and tie off those ends. So I'm going to start with this purple pom-pom on the end. These are the same ends that I used to tie the knot onto the headband. And I've got the end, and I'm going to go from the bottom. First, I'm going to go up through the pom-pom that this end is coming off. So I'm going to go through the purple and then back down. And then I'm going to go with this same purple end. I'm going to go through the blue that is adjacent to it. So, okay, floppy. Purple, blue, take the end and go. See, I'm coming out through the blue and white pom-pom. If you were to just go through the ones and leave the purple coming out, you would see it. But if you go back down through the blue, you can hide that end on the bottom where it won't be noticeable. So I'm going back through and coming out the bottom. See, you can't see it in the top of the blue pom-pom because it's tucked inside under the fluffiness. And then you could tie this end to another one or simply cut it off. Do the same thing on down the line, taking the ends of each pom-pom, going up through the pom-pom itself, but also anchoring it to the one next to it so that they don't move around on the headband. And then once they're cut off, you are all set, like with this one. Again, I would recommend putting just a little drop of glue on the knots underneath each pom-pom where you tied it to the headband itself. Finally, if this look is a little much for you, but you wanted something a little more subtle for maybe a child with a small head, you could even use a bobby pin, something a little less. Take those ends, and this is a smaller pom-pom, just compared to some of those other ones. And on a bobby pin, take the end, slide the bobby pin onto the end, and just see it's all the way down there. Tie a little knot. Again, recommend a little dab of glue in there. And then once you've hidden the ends, you would have a fun, simple pom-pom accessory for your hair. So those are some of the different things that you can do with pom-poms. Giant pom-pom crown, bear ear pom-pom headband, or the pom-pom decoration. If you wanted to make a garland of pom-pom to put over a curtain or in the corner of a room or something, you would do it the same way with the pom-poms. You don't need to save these tie-off ends. You would just use another yarn and string them all on. So have fun making stuff at home. If you have some yarn, pom poms are a great way to use up some smaller pieces of yarn that may not match with other things, or you don't need them for that blanket or sweater that you already made. But I will warn you, once you start making them, you'll want to make more and more. They do get addicting. Enjoy, and I hope you're staying happy and healthy and busy during your time at home.